What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. The Tessellation is the newest exotic added to Destiny's list of pay-to-win weapons, joining the Osteostriga and the Quicksilver Storm as the most recent exotics that have been proverbial carrots on strings for players to lunge for. These pay-to-win expansion weapons have been Bungie's icing on the cake, so to speak, to reward players who spend $100 on the digital deluxe pre-orders to these recent expansions. There's also several cosmetic items that always get included with these expansions, but none of them significant enough to be remembered. The Tessellation is now available to those who pre-order the final shape. This new energy-slotted fusion rifle has no natural energy affinity, so it conforms to whichever subclass you are using. Think of this like the Fundamentalist perk that's featured on Dead Messenger, Hardlight, and Borealis, but in reverse. The Tessellation comes with the ability to consume your grenades, charging up a powerful explosive blast that will cause some intense pain against your enemies. Overall, it's an extremely fun weapon and very flashy. It does do a significant amount of damage, but so will your Scorching Solar, Weakening Vortex, or Jolting Pulse grenades. So you're not really gaining anything by consuming your grenade. In fact, you're actually losing out on all of the elemental effects that your grenades would have been applying. Since its catalyst hasn't been released yet, it's possible that it could provide elemental verbiages, but that's still 6 months down the road. So far, no one's been screaming about the Tessellation being the new DPS meta, so as cool as it may be, this exotic isn't breaking the game necessarily. So how does this new pay-to-win exotic compare to the Osteo and Quicksilver? Well, when each of these exotics released, they made enormous impacts on the community. Quicksilver Storm was a strand auto-rifle that fired grenades and had homing rockets. It was a revolutionary exotic, and it continues to be, rivaling the Outbreak Perfected as one of the strongest primary exotic weapons. Ever since it was released, it has been sensational in the Crucible. It melts enemies in the hardest levels of PvE. It pairs up with any subclass and any other weapon loadout. It has had the benefit of Bungie's heavy focus towards strand, which has certainly helped this weapon propel to its current glory within the sandbox. And then the Osteostriga. This came out alongside the Witch Queen, and when this thing hit the community, it was on a whole nother level. A kinetic primary weapon that poisons enemies, refills its magazine automatically, and bellows out a terrifying shriek. Oh boy, what's not to love about this thing? Well, okay, maybe the piss poor range. But aside from that, this thing was, and still is, a ringer. The perfect, unholy offspring of the Thorn and Necrotic grip. The Osteo was the first of its kind, getting released as a craftable exotic. It had a tremendous impact on the community, presenting several overpowered, game-breaking glitches. The Osteo continues to be one of the easiest to use and most powerful weapons for newer players to use, and in my opinion, has made the most impact to the community and sandbox than any other pay-to-win exotic ever has. So while many may look at the Tessellation as something they're missing out on when not pre-ordering Final Shape, it's just not the case. When you compare the Tessellation to the Osteo or the Quicksilver Storm, this exotic doesn't come close. The Tessellation is fun and it's flashy, but its biggest appeal is that it changes subclass, which is honestly kind of lackluster when you're dedicating your exotic slot to this weapon. When it comes down to it, there's so many better weapons that dish out more damage and have better synergy with your subclass. After Final Shape has been out for a year, the Tessellation will become available to all who own Final Shape, so even if you don't get it now, you can get it in the future. When its catalyst releases, the Tessellation could see some significant rise in its performance that might even see it rival that of the Osteo and Quicksilver, but this is still an energy weapon, and that release isn't for another 6 months. So in closing, the Tessellation, kinda cool, pretty fun, but in the end, kinda meh. But that's just my thoughts on the situation. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Tessellation, the other pay-to-win exotics, and everything else going on with Season of the Witch and Final Shape. Let me know down below. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.